Fire away, folks.
We started hearing about this possible discussion back at the national championship game. It just now got done.
Right.
Was it just simply just a matter of time getting the two of you together to sit down and talk?
It really was. I mean, obviously right after the national championship game, it compressed the timetable for finishing recruiting and moving on to the next year's recruiting. So Coach was involved in that. We worked through the assistant coaches' salaries and support staff salaries at our last board meeting. And then there was a couple of weeks where he was traveling, I was traveling. We finally were able to get together near the end of February and then into March, and kind of came to some agreements. And the board meeting was so close, the next board meeting was so close, we just said, okay, instead of doing a special call, instead of doing those things, we'll just pull this together and have it done here during the April board meeting. So it was a good process.
The first question would be, you just did a contract in 2014.
Right.
So why so quick to do another one?
Well, we've performed incredibly well since 2014. That's the number one reason. And I think that as we look at Coach Sweeney and all the things that he and his staff have done and allowed us as an organization to grow, he's an integral part of that. And we wanted to make sure that we were rewarding him and keeping him in the elite level of college head football coaches in the country. And I think this contract does that.
He is now, I mean, if I'm looking at it right, seems to be in the top 10.
Yes.
Nationally, probably second in the ACC.
Yes, sir.
Fair terms? I mean, just your thoughts on the amounts?
Absolutely. I think it really, the tethers on both sides, from the university to coach and from coach to the university, are there. We're making great investments in the football program right now. Certainly the football operations center is looking to be finished next year. That's a great investment on where we need to go as an athletics program for our football program. So we're excited about the opportunities of things that are moving ahead, and we wanted to make sure to do it with Coach Sweeney.
Dan, is the gist of this not really that complicated? If you want a top 10 coach, you got to pay top 10, top 5 million?
Yeah, in some ways it really is. When you look at, I mean, the data's out there. You can mine it and you kind of morph it a little bit to your current situation at your university, and not all contracts are the same, but essentially you're looking at a market of a very few individuals who are incredibly successful at their craft, and we have one on our campus, and we want to make sure he stays here.
Does his success against some of those other top 10 salary coaches, is that part of negotiations?
Not really. It's important. It's a good thing to have, but I think it allows you to have the total success that you have, and then those are just the folks that are inside that neighborhood as well.
How easy has it been to convince board of trustees, boosters, people of that nature, because Clemson has not always been a top 10 head coach salary type of place?
Well, I think that, as we went through last year, there was a great sense, and you guys have seen it through our social media and exposure, and probably with all of your areas as well. There's a lot of focus on Clemson right now, and a lot of great focus on our athletic program due to the fact that we had that incredible run this past fall. So as we look at how important that is from a board member's perspective, it moves away from athletics. It moves into other areas of the university. There was a lot of great fundraising, non-athletic, done in Miami and in Glendale. So that's one of the charges of an athletic program. We create events to showcase an institution. And with our football program right now, under Dabo's leadership, that's at a whole level that Clemson hasn't seen in an awful long time. So we want to make sure to continue to move in that direction and allow the success athletically to spill out to the other parts of the institution.
How do you determine that? What's Dabo's value to the university as a whole? How do you come to terms on that?
I don't know. It's hard to calculate anyone's value within an organization. We just know that you look back a few years ago and we aren't where we are today. And there's been record fundraising in IPTAY, there's been record fundraising on campus, there's been a lot of focus on programs that we have. The experience that our students receive here as part of going to school is better now than it had been in the past. So I don't know that you throw it all on one individual, but certainly the leadership that he's had in our football program has contributed greatly to making that all very positive.
You mentioned getting all the assistants under contract as well. How important was that to make a new commitment to this entire coaching staff?
Well, that was Dabo. That was very important to Dabo, and that's why we took it in these steps. You know, make sure we have the assistant coaches and the people who are, you know, surrounding him and doing great work for our football program, and then we would shift our focus to him.
It wasn't under your watch, but Dabo gave up $265,000 of bonuses starting, I think, in 2011 to his assistants to say that he would invest in the program. Do you feel like this is a way maybe of now investing back in Dabo, or is that a way to look at it?
You know, everyone grows at different rates. You know, plant, you put the seed in, it's going to grow, and sometimes you got to water it and to make it grow. We now have a full-grown plant, tree, oak here that we want to keep. And I don't look at it in that way, but I certainly understand now, getting to know Coach Sweeney like I have, why he did it. Okay, and we are fortunate to be able to utilize the resources that we have right now to make sure that he is compensated fairly given the market and what he's done for Clemson University.
Did you feel it was necessary to give him a raise to keep him around long term?
It was just the right thing to do. You know, given the success that we've had and where we are in the market, you know, it was the right thing to do, and that's where we started these discussions from.
Do you anticipate, though, because head coaching salaries continue to rise, that topic might not be over? He could still receive interest from other schools.
Well, I think if he does, and certainly someone who is very good at their craft will receive interest a lot. We have some tethers back and forth, you know, for the institution should you know, something like that happen. But you know, while you protect yourself that way, I know Dabo is so invested in this community. I mean, last Friday was a great example. The foundation that he and Kathleen have had a record fundraising night, and they give all that money back into the community. The $55 million football operations center that we're building, that he's had a great hand in, and his staff has had a great hand in, that's something that has his fingerprints on it. And this is a place where I think he can stay for an awful long time and be successful. Everything that's necessary, from, you know, great student athletes within a very close range, they're here. Great fans, they're here. Great fundraising organization in IPTAY, it's here. Great coaching staff, it's here. And soon to be an incredible physical operation for the coaches and student athletes, it's going to be here. It's a great place to be.
You mentioned the buyout, the tethers, or whatever you say. Has the market changed for buyouts in recent years at all on your sort of study?
You know, not really. They've gone, the numbers have gotten bigger because the contract numbers have gotten bigger. I don't know that from a percentage perspective they've changed that dramatically. But if you look at numbers, they're bigger.
Just looking back at this past season, how special is it as an athletic director to be a part of it and to see Clemson make the run that it did in football?
You know, the most gratification that you get in this job is seeing the fans who've been part of Clemson for so long see the unabashed joy in their faces, being at Miami and being in Glendale and being a part of that whole thing. That's the intrinsic joy you get in this job, and then looking at the student athletes and seeing how they've come and how much they enjoy it. That's really special, and this past year was special. And you know, I don't want it to be unique, and neither does Coach Sweeney. We want this to be something that we're built for the long haul.
Now that contracts are done, you mentioned the operations facilities underway. What do you do next to just keep this program growing?
You know, we're not done with the operations facility. We got to build it first. We got to finish it off. So I think that's a better question once we move in there and understand how that all works. You know, we need to make sure that the number one thing we have to make sure of is that when people come to Memorial Stadium and they come to our campus, they have a great experience coming to our games. Because it's that 80,000 people that really is the engine that makes this whole thing work. Via IPTE, our game day experience, all of those things are an important part of it. And those are things we can control. We can't control how the ball bounces or how things happen within the field. We are asking Coach Sweeney and his staff and his student athletes to take care of that piece of it. We need to take care of everything else around it and make sure it's a real positive.
Everybody good?